good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to another episode of Brown Monday. Feels like a while since we've done one. I don't know about you boys, but it feels like a long time. Obviously, you've got myself, Avzal, hosting. As you can see, I've got Bass, I've got Akil. No Hobbs, no Riz, but we've got a very special guest today. All the way from Chennai, India, we've got Arun. Just a bit of backstory for the viewers. Arun was recently on, was it Premier League India, Akil?
Yeah.
Premier League India. Did a little interview with them, talked about obviously his story and his fandom with Aston Villa, and that look, as much as we've talked takeover, as much as we've talked Manchester United, that's something that's very close to all of our hearts in the terms of, we are the Brown Monday. We wanted to reach that side of the world. Like we said, we want to represent the unrepresented within that football world. And yeah, we reached out to Arun. Arun was nice enough to respond, and, we managed to get him on. Just want to peel the curtain back as well. There's a 5.5 hour time difference. So it's sort of early evening for Arun. So again, thank you very much, my brother. But yeah, my first question, what got you into football? Like, obviously, India is a very cricket-heavy nation. So why football?
So hello everyone. So as you said, like India is full of craze of cricket and not much about football. Like I was even crazy to cricket and young days. So like people in India are like full of cricket and IPL and stuff. Like then it starts like the season when ISL has started, Indian Super League. So I was like first started watching it, and I was like, why should I go for a football side? And like everyone in India would have either supported Real Madrid or Barcelona or Manchester United. So like first match was like I watched Barcelona, and I wasn't about that much craze in first few years, like in 2016 when I was like 12 or 13-year-old. So then it was like in 2018, like I got some more bigger age and watched for my first match, which I was in place, and was Aston Villa versus Birmingham. So it's in which I reckon like Bass would have known, like when Grealish got hit and he scored a winner to like win against Birmingham. So I was like, that match was full of race when Grealish scored and the whole fans went wild. So that was when I started watching. Okay, so I should support Aston Villa. So and then when we went to like the finals of the what do you say, like promotion stage. So promotion stage final, and I was like, I'm an Aston Villa supporter now. Then started supporting him.
Oh, that's fantastic, Arun. That game that you referred to where Jack Grealish got hit by the Birmingham City fan and ended up scoring the winner. What a fantastic game that was. It was unbelievable. And you could say that was the start of the run that took us to the playoff final and ultimately achieved promotion. I've been an Aston Villa supporter for my entire life. I was born Villa, and I'll be Villa till I die. But that moment, that period of supporting Aston Villa is arguably my favourite. So you ended up following Aston Villa Football Club at a real special time, I could say. That time of supporting Aston Villa in my 35 years of following the football club arguably has been my favourite period as well. So fantastic.
Hang on, one question. Bass, you're 35.
I won't disclose my age. Let's sound
I'm messing. But Arun, I've got one more question. So obviously you talked about Aston Villa, you talked about Madrid, Barcelona, all them sort of teams there. Now, you think of Real Madrid, you think of Ronaldo, Benzema, Bale, all the Galacticos essentially, right? And people think about Barcelona, and I don't know about you, but for me, Barcelona is Messi, despite where he's playing now. So like, what's the sort of the Aston Villa fan base like in India?
So like I was in lockdown time when I started like a Aston Villa fan page. So I started like posting content on like Aston Villa fan page, Aston Villa, and started posting. And like I couldn't get much of a fan base from Aston Villa at that time. Like, but now I can see like in last year I guess like we can find some like few people who are supporting Aston Villa. Like I met a person in online, like he said, like he's watching from 2013 in India. It was like, yeah, you are the most uh, bigger fan than me. And he was like, I don't know, he is in Birmingham, who is Indian too. So I can find now it's been like, we have a WhatsApp group and Insta group chatting about Aston Villa. So the fan base is currently growing, I would say. Like recent success, whatever.
And that's good to hear. Villa are on the up, Man United are on the down, but we'll leave Man United to one side for one podcast. Like I said, I kind of just want to give the attention to yourself and Villa, and obviously Bass is here. Bass has seen, I imagine, everything apart from cup wins and Champions League wins, right?
Yeah, I'm a bit too young to remember the 1982 European Cup triumph and the 1983 European Super Cup. So yeah, my support for Aston Villa started around 96, 87. So yeah, a very long time ago. But yeah, I've seen 2 relegations, 2 promotions. I've seen some good moments, some bad moments. We've not had over the past 2-3 decades the glory that many other football clubs have had. But we've seen moments. Success comes in all different shapes and sizes. And looking at Aston Villa currently, and especially since Arun started to support us, there has been a period of year-on-year success. Arguably from the moment we got promoted, the following season we survived in the Premier League on the final day of the season, which again you can mark down as a success, considering from where we were on the brink of administration. The season after that, we had a year-on-year improvement. I think that was the COVID season. We then ended up losing Jack Grealish and Dean Smith, and we were in transition under Steven Gerrard, and we dipped. That didn't work out, as we all know, and the game changer was when the owner, Nassif Suarez, stepped in and brought in Unai Emery. And
just a quick birthday shout out for Nassif as well. I saw on socials it was his birthday the other day. So Nassif, I don't know if you're listening, but happy birthday, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know what? You have to admit Nassif has been a game changer of honour. He literally reminds me of Abramovich when he came to Chelsea. He's come in, done his part himself as well. You know what I mean? Because he's gone himself to Adidas to get that sorted. For Emery as well, he's literally given Emery everything that he needs to basically succeed. I'm not saying he's going to be basically a failure, but at the moment he's doing really well. Emery, and you can see in the transfer market as well, they've got everything under control, if you want to put it that way. Like obviously I've been watching. Well, obviously even though I support United. Like obviously Bass and Afsal know, Arun, my younger brother supports Aston Villa. He's been supporting them for donkey years. Probably talking about the days between Graham Taylor when he was manager and stuff. Even probably before that, maybe for like a season or 2. He's seen errors where Daniel Levy came in, Martin O'Neill, Doug Ellis as owner, Then you had that Dr. Chinese guy, Tony Jai, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, Tony Jaa. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, Tony Jaa. And then basically before him, I'm pretty sure it was Randy Lerner, wasn't it? And obviously
That's
now
right.
you've got basically V Sports, which is under I think it's Wes and Nassif. So I think there is going to be obviously some exciting times. But we just have to see what happens. That's the thing. And obviously I've got hope for Villa.
Yeah,
I've got
yeah,
big
100%.
hopes for Villa.
Arun, you mentioned, I mean, I mentioned that, you know, in my time of supporting Aston Villa, I've seen some high periods and I've seen some low periods. So in the 5 years that you've been supporting Aston Villa, what would you say are your high periods and what would you say are your low periods in supporting the football club?
Obviously now, when I took over, it was the IPL. Everyone would have agreed now. Like, but the one match which we felt like we are tough like that is when we bet Liverpool 7-2 and lockdown time. So, but it felt like we beating a big team by in a big margin score, like beating 7-2 and all is a big score. And obviously, like when we lost Greece on like in injury, like in 2020, like we were in a 5-run defeats and all. Like he was the one carrying us on 2020 and 2019 season. So when he was injured for 2 months, I guess, where like we were completely dog shit. Like we can't even pass the ball, and we were so struggling. That was the time when like why did they reach this club and like, but still missing out of release, we became big club because of his transfer.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can remember that summer of 2021, and it was an emotional roller coaster because Jack Grealish meant so much to Aston Villa fans, and you know there was
like that
every hour
equalizer in the final game to keep us out of the relegation.
100%. Yeah, I mean, even prior to Jack Grealish playing first team football, we knew that he was very highly thought of coming through the youth setup at Aston Villa. And, you know, we'd see footage of his reserve team games, you know, playing for the under-21s or, you know, at a youth level. And then he went on loan to Notts County as well. And, you know, he was performing really highly. He made his debut for Villa under Paul Lambert, I think it was, many moons ago. It was a game against Manchester City at the end of the season. And I think Manchester City ended up winning the league that year for the first time, possibly. No, actually, I think it might have been their second. I can't remember whether it was under Mancini or Pellegrini. It was a very long time ago anyway. But, you know, we could see that Jack Grealish, there was something really special about him. And because he was from Birmingham, you know, when it's one of your own, you feel that special connection to a player. So for him to leave, you know, after, I mean, a lot kind of happened prior to him leaving as well. You know, the previous year, I think he might have been very close to joining Manchester United in actual fact. But that didn't materialise. He signed a new contract.
Can we not talk about that, please?
No, I think he would have been a great player for Man United, to be honest. But
that's why I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. You know, that didn't materialise. He signed a new contract which had a clause in it to say that if £100 million bid came in from Champions League club, then he'd be allowed to leave. And ultimately, that is what happened in the summer of 2021. He decided to leave, and it was difficult because he brought so much. And as Arun, you've said, you know, there was that 2-3 month period where Grealish had an injury in the season before, and we were absolutely dog shit. But the moment that he came back, then we started to produce again. And he just brought so much to the team. You know, his ability to take the pressure off to win free kicks. but also to his goals and assist numbers were the best that he's ever produced in actual fact during that season throughout his career. So yeah, that's I know a lot of Aston Villa fans would like to see him back. Personally, I wouldn't. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Arun? Would you like to see Jack Grealish back at Aston Villa or not?
I would love to, but what if Man City got his FFP charges and get relegated? So Grealish can come back. That would be good. But still, like Grealish at Villa would still be like good player for under Emery. Like we lack creativity in the left hand side. Like right hand side we have Bailey, Diaby to create. So genuinely we would playing very well in Emery setup. So I would love him, but don't know what.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right. In terms of we do lack, a left-sided forward. I think Emery, he likes players that are direct. So if Grealish can become that player who, was quite direct when he was producing his, best football of his career, in my opinion. If he can reproduce that form, then yes, I think he would be, a player that would fit into the Unai Emery system. But yeah, in terms of, the player that he's become in Pep's system, I don't think he'd fit really into the Unai Emery way of playing.
Like when he get back the form when he wore the jersey number 40 for Villa and like scoring bangers outside of box. Like if he gets that form, Villa will be like top level.
Yeah,
I think with Jack,
totally.
I think with Jack, I think he would suit the Emery system, but I think currently in the squad they've got much better players than Jack, and I think they can get even more better players from around the world as well. That would basically transform Villa into being a better squad, because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, one player might make a difference to the whole squad, but at the end of the day, you can still get much better players. Jack moved on, whereas Villa have basically moved on as well. I think this is a new era for Villa. If you look at the Villa squad itself, who would you single out as the most important player, like the star player? Arun.
Sorry, what?
So if you, from the current squad of Aston Villa, in your opinion, who's the star player?
I would say Douglas Luiz. Like how he controls the midfield and takes the ball from the defense to like into attacking. So I say Douglas Luiz like the real star player. Like already we have seen big clubs mentioning him in a Stanford radar. So you can clearly see like how the big clubs now see Douglas Luiz. Like he can like settle in the midfield, take the ball from the defense and move on to give a long ball to Diaby or like on the left hand side John McGinn. So without him, like we were struggling, like how we did in like Jack Grealish. So I say Douglas is the current star player of Aston Villa.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you over there. But I think all the players in the squad have their qualities. I think you've got Emiliano Martinez in goal, who I think brings so much to the team. In terms of mentality, and not only that, he's an absolute fantastic goalkeeper as well. But just having that mentality and wanting to win at all costs, I think just sets the tone. Not only on the playing side, but in the dressing room, on the training pitch as well. But yeah, I mean, all the players, they just seem to have stepped up a level under Unai Emery. You look across the team, even the players that he's brought in are so vital to the way Villa play their football. You've got Pau Torres in defence, and he's so key in terms of the way Aston Villa build out from the back. You mentioned Moussa Diaby as well, who arguably over recent games hasn't quite produced the heights that we know that he's capable of, because he showed that in abundance in the first 7, 8, 9 games of the season. But then you've got Ollie Watkins, obviously John McGinn, who is a leader by example. But yeah, we've even got players that are returning back from injury, like Jacob Ramsey, who plays that left-sided forward role very well. But yeah, you just look across the team, and every single player is valuable. But I agree, Douglas Luiz, I think he's one of the most underrated midfielders in the Premier League. He's an absolute baller.
Tell you what, while we're on topic of the Villa squad, right? It's the January transfer window. It's the 20th of January as we sit here today. We've barely seen any big moves in the Premier League. It's a bit of a weird transfer window. I think with the FFP stuff going on, clubs are probably being a bit more careful. But this question, Arun, to you, and Bas, to you. If you could bring in one player, forget budget, forget wages, just one player to improve your starting 11 for the rest of this season, who are you bringing in?
So isn't it's already there's been rumors of him, a player who's has a release cost of 13 million. So Paulo Dybala from Roma to play as a second striker to Aston Villa.
That's a very good shout. Bas, what about you?
Yeah, I'm a bit torn, and I don't where we need to improve, and I think Arun has mentioned, there's a left-sided forward position, and also right back as well is Matty Cash. He gets a bit of stick sometimes, and I love Matty Cash, but yeah, sometimes his decision making can be questionable at times, and his his final ball into the box, his crossing ability can be a lot better. So yeah, I mean, if we were looking at a right back, I think you'd probably look at the best right backs in the world. You want someone who can defend. For all of his attacking qualities.
Table, by the way.
Yeah, we'll not consider Wan-Bissaka or even Diogo Dalot as right back. Unfortunately, mate. But yeah, we have been linked, and if the rumours are to be believed, there's a Serbian right back who plays for Red Star Belgrade. He's 18 years old. The rumours are that we have had a €9 million bid accepted for him. I can't remember how to pronounce his surname, so I won't even give it a go. But yeah, he'll spend the rest of the season on loan at Red Star Belgrade, and then he'll come and join Villa in the summer. But he's 18, so he's one for the future. We've also had 2 bids allegedly rejected for Morgan Rogers of Middlesbrough. Morgan Rogers, he's from Hell's Owen, which is just outside of Birmingham. He spent his youth days, I think, at West Brom, who have quite a renowned youth setup. He ended up going to Manchester City, and then from he was in fact offered in the negotiations for Jack Grealish as a make-weight. So when he was at Manchester City, City said to Villa 90 million plus Morgan Rogers as one of the deals, but Villa wanted 100 million cash. So yeah, that didn't materialise. Morgan Rogers ended up going to Middlesbrough. I think he's been on loan, from that time that he was offered to us to the time that he joined Middlesbrough in the summer. But yeah, he's only been at Middlesbrough and Michael Carrick for a few months, and Villa are interested, apparently. So we'll see where that one goes. But yeah, in terms of Dybala, I know that his buyout clause is activated now. I think it's €13 million. It'll be interesting to
What's
see what
that?
happens
Pounds
with him.
about 10.5 or something.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's
That's a
approximately. I don't know whether it's
bargain if
30
you get
million
that right.
euros or 30 million pounds. Yeah. But he's got his injury. He's got injury history. Whether he'll be able to produce it in the Premier League as well. Age, I don't think, is on his side. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Jose Mourinho situation. Obviously, with Mourinho departing at Roma, what that means for Dybala's future is an interesting one as well. So we'll see where that one ends up at the end of January.
Banksy, I know you spoke to your brother in the last few days. Any chance if he had one player? Have you asked him that?
I just saw him now, literally just 2 minutes ago. And he just goes, obviously, I'll catch up with you later on because he's rushing. But obviously, and I know he's still on edge about the whole season because he knows they're not doing really good. But you know how you have your hopes really high? He hasn't, because it's that thing where last season we knew where Newcastle was. Now this season we know where they were. So he's a bit skeptical in terms of if Villa do end up losing a few games, they might flatten down. But he's confident they can probably get a top 6 finish. That's his prediction. Top 4 is literally saying, okay, we've done really good. But I did put him the question out. If one player, no FFP, no budget, whatever, who would he sign? And he was he didn't mention players. He just mentioned a position. He basically said that he would rather have someone in the midfield, an 8, like for example, Frankie De Jong,
like a Scott McTominay.
Yeah. That can literally
face.
that can basically hold that midfield, because he goes, even though the midfield is really good at the moment, I think an extra body in there would tighten the grip in the whole team. The midfield's the glue to the whole team, isn't it? That's my opinion. If there's no midfield, the team collapses. And he did say, obviously, if you can get an extra body into the midfield, I think Villa have got a big chance of going through. But I will ask him that question, and I will get back to you.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I'll literally get a name out of him. But
yeah,
hit him down if you have to.
Arun, so Arun, you mentioned Dybala, and we know that from watching Aston Villa in recent games, especially when we come and face teams lower down in the division, we're often facing a low block, and that's where I think we're finding it a bit difficult to break teams down. So a Dybala, like you say, playing just behind the centre forward, behind Ollie Watkins, could provide that key. We've got Emi Buendia, who can be viewed as that creative spark, who's obviously been ruled out for the remainder of the season with a severe injury. But is that why you see Dybala maybe being an option for Aston Villa?
Yeah, we were when we faced Everton 2 last week, we faced the same low block issues. And I think the great DRB is playing second striker now. So he's not his natural position, playing in the right wing is what his natural position. So player like Dybala will always be worthy of player. So invest someone like Dybala in the lower divisions, if he can find the player to be choosing. Not all, we didn't say we only need Dybala, someone who is we need a left-footed second striker like Dybala, who can go on get a shot outside the box, which against lower block teams will be a worth of money.
Yeah, it is that left-hand side, because on the right, we if we had an overlapping right back, with Leon Bailey and Moussa Diaby, who kind of is a bit more right-sided, but he does kind of play that second striker role at this moment in time, doesn't he? But very often, he'll be the link between your left-sided forwards in Leon Bailey and the striker, playing those kind of 1-2s at the edge of the box and trying to kind of, play those quick passes to break up the play. And that's something that we lack a little bit on the left-hand side, regardless of whether you've got Alex Moreno or Luca Dean, who, do like to get forward and get forward very well, especially Alex Moreno. Sometimes we don't really have, a wide left-sided forward who's got the ability to sort of hog that touchline. I think when Yuri Tielemans sometimes plays on the left side of midfield, he does offer that kind of bridge, if you like. So, again, he's been another good addition. And I think in terms of utilization of the squad, I think Unai Emery's doing that very well, actually. So long as we retain fitness in the squad, I do think that we do have the profile of players to achieve our ambitions. And just going on that, Arun, where do you feel what do you think Aston Villa are capable of this season?
Obviously, when you start of the season, you get a European position was Europa League will be the biggest thing we can achieve. But half of the season, I think when we are in third position, finishing in the top 4 or top 3 is where we most we can be in the next Champions League next year. So getting money from it and losing out on FFP issues so that we can bring in more competition in the squad. Actually, if Matty Cash has no competition right now, we called the Isla Raiden now. So if we get a Champions League position, we can buy some more worthy of players like Jeremy Frimpong from Bayern Leverkusen. So getting a championship money would be there, and TV rights and everything. We already took Adidas sponsorship now. So globalization of the Aston Villa is immense if we get a Champions League football.
Yeah, 100%. I think we need to match our off-field ambitions with on-field as well. And if we do get Champions League football, I think what the owners and the president of business operations, Chris Heck, and even the president of football operations, Monchi, what they want for the football club is to be, they want Aston Villa to be a global brand, both on the pitch and
you
off
dropping
the pitch.
these job titles to make me jealous?
This is
the fact
what
that you've
it
got
takes.
proper structure. We haven't.
Yeah. Absolutely. We can talk to that. We've spoken about this to hell and high water, haven't we, in previous weeks, months?
Yeah, let's not go back over it.
So.
But I've got a question for you. So, both more towards Aaron actually, but obviously, Bass, you're in the UK, you're in Manchester like myself. We watch a 12:30 game. It's 12:30. It's Saturday. It's middle of the day. We're off work. You're probably sat with your kids and whatnot. Aaron, obviously, I know there's a 5.5 hour time difference. So I think the sort of the 12:30 UK kickoffs would be sort of 6 o'clock in the evening for yourself, which I would imagine doesn't pose too much of a difficulty. But what about the the midweek games? Obviously in the UK they're sort of 8 o'clock kickoffs. How is that for you? Is that something you watch live, or is that something you think I'll go to sleep and I'll watch the next day or something?
So you can night time kickoff here it is 12:30 p.m. 12:30 a.m. Sorry, 12:30 a.m. in the morning. So I would sit in the room with a bedsheet on and watching the matches. So when games when I woke up the entire day and watch them lose is when Manchester United match, I guess that's the time they are playing. So they watching them play at 12:30 a.m. and I woke up without sleep. I was watching them and they went on lose. The next day will be completely ruined. Like I have exams, and if I have exam, I would still watch it at the night time. So without knowledge of my parents and everything.
That's
You know
dedication,
what that
isn't
is? That's dedication. And you know what? Aston Villa are lucky to have you, Aaron, because that dedication and that commitment is just. I can imagine if I said to my parents, I'm not studying for my exam, I'm watching the football. I don't think that would have gone down well.
it?
I got caught too. Like a few days, I got caught and like got beatings too. Like everything.
Yeah, no, man. But you know that's amazing, and you know what? I'm blown away. Like I said this when we had Yusuf on. I said this when we had Abusad on. Like that side of the world is just. I'm lost for words. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah, they
you know,
are
the
really
commitment,
passionate.
like,
Yeah,
it's, you know, we're so lucky in the UK. It fits with our daily routines.
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's
I mean,
you've got
really...
going to go on, boss. Go on.
No, you go, Aki. Go on.
So basically, you got going to games, home games, away games, but to actually sacrifice your exams, you actually sleep time as well, just to watch games when you're obviously thousands of miles away in different countries in the Middle East and stuff. That is a dedication. It's a game changer. The thing is, for me, you can't compete with these fans, and it shows dedication that you go to every game, season ticket, and everything. But that's nothing compared to the fans like you are, and this is one of the reasons why this podcast was actually created for people like you, people like Yusuf we've had on, Abu Saad on as well, because as much as you lot on here, you guys literally give us the inspiration to actually progress more in these podcasts that we actually want to do as well.
Yeah. No, Aaron, yeah, absolutely echo what, you know, Afzal and Aki say. And, you know, it fills me with immense pride, you know, speaking to an Aston Villa fan in India, which I've never come across. My heritage is Indian. My father is from Jodhpur in Rajasthan. My mum from a town just outside of Amritsar. So, you know, I've got a connection to the subcontinent. And, you know, football is well liked across the subcontinent. And you have a lot of the more known clubs. I refuse to call them the Big Six because I consider Aston Villa to be part of the Big Six. We are third in the Premier League, so you're in the Big Three.
No comment.
But you know, I've never come across an Indian Aston Villa fan or an Aston Villa fan from India.
Normally, it's basically it's like the Uniteds, the Chelseas, the Arsenals.
Exactly.
Basically United, because if you look at Asia, it's all Manchester United, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But the moment I saw Arun's video on Premier League India, which is obviously verified from their account, I literally put it out there on the Brand Munde because it represented what we initiated to do anyway. And straight away I was like, look, you know, we need this kid on. This kid, he needs to come on the podcast because we want to hear him. We want to basically help this kid, even if it means giving him a ticket to a Villa game pass. Do you know what I mean? Getting flight tickets over, whatever. I'm pretty sure he would love that as well.
I'd be quite happy to take him.
He'd have to get approval from his parents, but obviously,
Aaron, if you can get the approval, we will make it happen, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I think that. Go on, Aaron. Go ahead.
Yeah. You have been to Villa matches, so but to like Indian fans to visit UK and see a match is always like a dream for us. Like it's too much costly to like the exchange rate from India to UK is like so much cost. Like everyone have a dream to like visit a stadium. Like the same like everyone in India now. Currently, India is like growing in football population. Everyone is like if like people say like Ati said like dedicated to watch Villa games, like we grouped fellow Villa fans. Like everyone will be like awake at 12:30 a.m. and we'll be joining the group chats and watching the match. Like everyone is so much dedicated in supporting Aston Villa too. So like everyone has a dream of going to Aston Villa Park and like in whole day and like seeing Villa fans.
Yeah, and there's a real opportunity, I think, for not only Aston Villa but all of our football clubs to tap into, the fandom that, as Afzal described it at the start of the podcast, that you have in places like India, especially, for teams like Aston Villa or Manchester United. So Aston Villa obviously being the biggest club in Birmingham. I know Birmingham City fans will disagree, but there's no argument there. But Birmingham as a city is one of the most diverse cities in the UK, in England. We've got a really large community of Indian and Pakistanis and Bangladeshis, from the subcontinent. Not only that, from all parts of the world, be it Afro-Caribbeans and other minorities as well. And that is something that I think our football clubs can really kind of tap into. You look at where Aston Villa Football Club is in the city of Birmingham in Aston, and again, the population of Aston, there's a large community of those with a South Indian heritage, and it's just really great to see the football club tap into there's an opportunity to kind of globalize. If there are global ambitions of that football club, then you've got to start to reach out to these areas. It's not an area of my expertise, but with a population of 1 billion people and with football being a really popular sport in India, what better place to tap into that and benefit our football clubs as a result.
It's a vast market. It really is.
It is, but just as representing the community as well. I think what Aston Villa do really well, and Arun, I don't know whether you're aware of any of the supporter groups that Aston Villa have, but there are some official supporter groups that do represent the South Indians really well at Aston Villa. So you have Punjabi Villains, and you've got another one called Villains Together. But what you will find on a match day at Villa Park is, as pre-match entertainment, you'll have door players outside of Villa Park playing the door, and you'll have, groups doing Bhangra and, things like that, which speaks, it connects the local community and with the football club. And I hope that, creates a resonance with our Indian fan base as well, which, I think is really important, because that is our DNA, that is our community. Aston Villa is the centre point of our community.
That is, that's, again, amazing point. And we've said this so many times, that this diversity on show in a lot of the Premier League clubs is, we love it, because, again, they're making people like us, people like Arun, feel more included. And you know what? Big up to the Punjabi Villains guys. I see the pictures, I see the videos, and I think, I love that. Like, they build the atmosphere. And I don't know if they get any hate. Look, everyone gets hate. They might do. But the fact that they keep doing these things, the fact that they're proud of who they are and where they're from, that's the biggest thing for me. And boys, just keep doing what you're doing, as far as I'm concerned. But I am conscious of time. Like I said, Aaron is 5.5 hours ahead of us. So I'll ask one final question and let's wrap it up there. Both to Bas and Aaron, where do you think Aston Villa finished this season? Give me a position on the table.
Yeah, Bas can go first.
You want me to go first? Fantastic. Realistically,
You don't do
you know,
predictions, do you?
I don't do predictions. No, I don't. I'm superstitious that way when it comes to match predictions. I never do a match prediction because I always jinx it. So yeah, I refrain from doing match predictions. Realistically, though, where we go this season, I'd love us to win some silverware. I think we've got a real chance of winning the Europa Conference League. I think if you were to ask me what I'd rather have, Champions League or a Conference League win, I would rather we have Champions League football next season. I do think that is not the pinnacle, but what you desire to grow as a football club and where we want to head. I think that will suit us more, not only in the short term, but the long term as well. It would allow us to build. And I'm pretty sure in years to come, we'll have an opportunity of getting some silverware as a result of Champions League qualification. I just think that Champions League qualification will open up so many other avenues and doors for the football club. And I think that's something we're capable of. So we're 21 games in, we have 42 points. I think I've not done the maths. I think if we manage to, it'll be difficult to replicate, I think, our first half of the season form into the second half. But if we can average, just shy of 2 points per game, then that will be enough to see us qualify for the Champions League. And I think that is achievable as well. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going for Aston Villa to finish top 4 or top 5. If we finish 5th, then I'm crossing my fingers that English clubs do well in Europe so that our coefficient goes up and 5th gets Champions League football. But yes, I'm going for Champions League qualification and a Europa Conference League win.
I love the confidence. Arun, what about yourself?
So yeah, we are in Conference League, so winning it will be like another claret and blue team winning it this season. So we always struggle in the second half of Premier League season. So if we stop doing that and go for what we did in the first half, finishing in top 4 will be is an easy chance. When other clubs struggle to do, when we are able to go for a bigger run, win streak, so we can finish in a top 4. So top 4 finish getting a usual qualification will be much more meaningful to the Villa fans and Villa supporters, everyone. So bringing back another UCL before Arsenal will be a good.
So we've got winning the Conference League and getting top 4, which is, I think, as good as Villa can get this season, unless you go on a mad run and win the Premier League. But we'll discuss that when we get into a title race, because I can see Bas staring at me like, why have you just said that? You've just jinxed it. What are you doing? But look, again,
you know what? We all have dreams, and regardless of whether they're realistic or not, there's no denying that I will very often, think to myself, what if City do this and Liverpool do that? I mean, just the other day when Mo Salah picks up an injury for Egypt in the AFCON, and you were
laughing, weren't you?
I mean, I don't wish harm on anybody, but just for them to go through a bit of a sticky period, and for us to be able to keep up pace would just be fantastic, wouldn't it? I think for a dark horse to be involved with 10 games to go would, for the neutral, even be quite interesting to see. So yeah, why not dream? I can't see us getting more than 80 points. I think you'll probably need to get close to 90 to actually win the league. But yeah, why not have dreams?
And you know what? I don't think there's... Go on, Arun.
Yeah, like recreating Leicester would be like a dream too.
That is,
What was
you know
that,
what,
Aaron?
that's
Sorry.
Like recreating Leicester 15-16 season would be like a dream too. If we can dream.
Oh yes,
basically if Villa do a
that's-
Leicester.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Villa will do a Villa. Leicester did a Leicester, and yeah, hats off to Leicester. And that was just remarkable, really, wasn't it? But it gives other teams that I think it just shows what a well-run, well-coached football team, a football club that is on the same hymn sheet across its entirety, what that can actually do to the success of a sports team, regardless of whether it's football or a different sports. If everyone throughout the club is on the same hymn sheet, because Leicester showed that as well with their ownership at the time. And if the team is coached well, then yeah, those opportunities are there, aren't they? They are. So let's see. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And again, I said I'm conscious of time, so I will wrap it up. Again, I just want to say thank you so much, Aaron. Best of luck for the rest of the season to yourself and Bass for Aston Villa. Harps isn't here, so I'm going to do what Harps does, and I'm going to try my best, but I mean this 100%. As the Manchester United fans on this podcast, we stand for Full Sail only. We stand for Glazers out. We stand for Ratcliffe out. And we will accept nothing less than 100% sale. Whoever the buyer is, it has to be 100% in our eyes. But again, guys, thank you very much. And Bass, do you want to say it?
Up the Villa.